they could not. That's your problem. You don't believe that God can do some things. So guess what? The reason why your circumstances and your problems don't change because you don't believe. Turn and say, that's your problem.
That's your problem.
You need to believe.
You need to believe.
And confess. And act like it's so. So he says, I went to them. How embarrassing is it? You said, I love the Lord. He's done so much for me. He's opened doors for me. He keep providing. Are you telling the truth, or are you actually hoping that that's going to happen? I love him so much. He's done so much for me. But somebody come to you and need some help, but yet you let them down because you don't believe yourself. The true side of any believer, if you with Jesus, guess what happens? You ought to be able to do what Jesus said you can do. So here he says, I brought them to your disciples. I brought them to the people who I saw them walk with you. I brought them to the people who we knew that if you did it, they could do it too. But he said, but when I brought them to you, I brought my son to them, guess what happened? They couldn't do nothing. So listen what Jesus says, the next verse. He said, and he answered and said unto him, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him to me. And then it says, and they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit taught. Check this out. So you ought to be so spirit-filled, so fire baptized, that look, when demons come your way and when things are not right, when people are not right, when they're the wrong connections, when they see you, they'll say, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to deal with them. But the reason why they can come to you and stay with you is because you look so much, you act just like them. So here he says, when he saw Jesus, y'all heard it say, in the name of Jesus, demons tremble at his name, but he told us in Luke chapter 10 that he's given us power to tread over the scorpions and the serpents. He said, and by over the powers of the enemy, but he said nothing shall happen. What happened here? Why don't they have power? Why can't they get it done? Because they don't believe. So he says, verse 21, and he asked his father, how long ago since this came upon him? He said, of a child. Parents, if your kids have demonic activity going on in their life, the reason you may not be able to see it is because you are not focused enough to see it, to be able to determine that guess what has to happen? Kids are being tormented because parents are not educated in the things of God. See, we'll play that we're going to church, but it's not really so much about being in church in a building. It's simply about being in relationship with a God who can lead and navigate your life. So here he says, since he's been a child, and oftentimes it says you cast him into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if thou can do anything, he says, have compassion on us and help us. So that's to be the first thing you really should do, and stop acting as if, oh, I've been in church 20 years. But if you don't really know the power of God, if you really don't know what he can do, you ought to be the first one to say, hey, God, I really don't know what you can do. And maybe I perpetrated a fraud, and maybe I've been to this situation and I wanted to look good for other people and make them think I really knew you. But maybe, Father, I need some help because I really don't know. The reason why you continue to repeat the cycles in your life that you can be broken or should be broken is simply because of your unbelief. So he says here, this boy has been dealing with this since he's been a child. But then he says, have compassion on us and help us. Actually, they said, when the last time? Actually, they said, neighbor, when was the last time you really called on Jesus to help you? So here he says, if you can believe. What was he telling him? Despite your circumstances. He said, if you can believe, despite how it looks. He said, if you can believe, I don't care how many odds are against you. I don't care how bad it seems as if your back is against the wall. He says, if you can believe. The question is, can you really believe? Because he said, if you can believe. He then says, guess what? All things are possible to him that believe. I'm done.